I'm going to show you exactly how you can learn English on your own. So as always, welcome back to GSL English. My name is of course Gideon, and isn't it true that learning a language, learning the English language can be quite a scary thing, particularly when we have to do it on our own. When we are trying to learn a language on our own, we often don't know where to start. We don't know what to do, or we don't know how to improve, how to get any better. Well, don't worry. In this video, we are going to break it down into 5 simple ways that we can learn and improve our English on our own. Now, I would like to just say something before we start. This video is not intended to put teachers of English out of business, to give them no work. It's actually completely on the contrary. I am a teacher of English. That is actually my full-time job. So I'm not trying to put myself out of work. And I do believe that private, individual lessons are a fantastic, a brilliant way of learning and improving your English. But let's be real. Let's be honest. For many, they just don't have the time for private lessons. Life is extremely busy. We have work and families, so we don't have the time for lessons. Or the reality is private classes can be expensive. And as we know, the cost of everything seems to be going up. So many just at the moment don't have the financial resources to pay for private lessons. Now, I believe that those reasons should not stop anyone from learning the English language. So that's why I've made this video. Private lessons are important. They are great, but you can still learn English on your own if they are currently not a possibility. As I said, I'm going to give you 5 ways, 5 steps that you can use to start learning English now. And I'm pretty sure, actually, I guarantee that if you do these 5 things, your English will improve. Now, these points are in no particular order. Okay, so keep that in mind. But let's look at step number 1, or tip 1 to learn English on your own, and that is to speak on your own. That's right. I want you to speak on your own. When there is nobody else available, when you don't have the opportunity to speak to anyone in person, we can still speak on our own. How so? Whether we are a beginner, intermediate, or an advanced English speaker, speaking out loud is essential. From the very beginning to years down the line, we need to be speaking out loud because knowledge is really important. Studying grammar, studying vocabulary, perhaps studying different parts of the English language is really important. But the reality is, it is pointless if we are not going to actually use it. If we're not going to practice speaking, to practice communicating, then it's pointless. But some say, well, I don't have anyone to talk to. I don't have a teacher. I don't have friends that speak English. Don't worry. You can speak on your own. So here is what I would suggest. Find somewhere comfortable. Maybe it's your bedroom or the living room, in your flat or your home. Find somewhere comfortable. Get relaxed. Have a drink of water next to you and do one of the following exercises. The first is repetition and shadow reading. Now, you will see quite a few of these videos if you scroll through my YouTube channel or click this little link here, or somewhere on the screen. And these videos are brilliant for speaking out loud. So what you will do is first you will listen to the text. You will then repeat after me. Then we will speak at the same time. So you don't need anyone else in person to do that because I will be with you in the video. We'll go through it together. But you can practice speaking on your own. You don't need another human physically there with you. So, brilliant exercise. Even go on YouTube and just type in English repetition exercises, or preferably watch one of my lessons on that. But repetition and shadow reading are a fantastic way of practicing speaking out loud. That is the first way I want you to try. But remember, get somewhere comfortable, somewhere that you feel relaxed, because then you are more likely to just go for it and speak out loud without too much thought. The second way we can speak out loud and get the most from it is to answer a question and record yourself speaking. So perhaps you can present yourself with a question. Maybe it could be your opinion on a work-life balance. Then you just talk about it. Now, we're not looking for perfect English here, but just talk about your thoughts on a healthy work-life balance. What makes a good work-life balance? Why is it important? That's just an example, but you get the idea, and record yourself and listen to it back. Not always easy to do because many of us hate the sound of our own voice, but it's brilliant. And keep doing this. Keep almost a vocal diary, and you will hear how your speaking improves over time. You will also hear some areas that you might need to improve, or that you could use some new vocabulary. So that is the second way. Pose or present a question to yourself and record yourself answering that question from the heart. Another way that we can speak out loud is simply just read out loud on your own. Get a book, find a piece of text, pick up the shampoo bottle. I don't know, maybe that's not a great example, but whatever it is, just read out loud. Just read out loud. And that could be anything you enjoy, but just get used to just reading it out loud, just trying your best. And the reason I say this is that one of the most important things isn't just the process of speaking out loud, using vocabulary, but it's just muscle memory. The more that we speak out loud, whatever it is, whatever our level, the more our brains will connect our mouths with the English language, and it makes it so much easier. It's like running a race. If we are going to run a marathon, we have to work up to that point. We don't just go straight in and run the full amount. No, we work up. We build our endurance, our stamina, and our strength. It's the same with speaking. We have to build that muscle memory, the stamina, the strength in our jaw in the way that it needs to speak English. So whether you are a beginner, a complete beginner, intermediate or advanced, if you want to learn English on your own, speak on your own as much as possible. And then you can translate that to real life conversations along the way. Step 1, speak out loud on your own. Okay, step 2, and the second way that I wanted to present to you that you can learn English on your own is to listen effectively. You notice I put effectively there. I want you to listen effectively. And by that, I mean make the most of the time that you put into learning English through listening. We want to get something from it, don't we? What I want you to do is listen as much as you can. I literally mean whenever, wherever you can, listen in English wherever it is possible. And we're going to do this in 2 ways. We are going to passively listen in English and actively listen in English. By passively listening, I mean listen when you are on your way to work, when you are doing something else, the cooking, the cleaning, the gardening, at the gym. I don't know, actually, maybe listening to English at the gym. I know that would affect my workouts greatly, but maybe it works for you. I don't know. But basically, when we are passively listening in English, we're doing something else whilst consuming the English language. That might be a podcast, an audiobook, a movie in the background, whatever it is. But by doing this, we are just passively absorbing English information, like putting a sponge in water. That's what we are doing. So subconsciously, we are taking in pronunciation. We're taking in vocabulary. We're taking in sentence structures. And the more we do this, the more we are just filling our brain constantly with English information. Podcasts, of course, the GSL English podcast is a fantastic one to listen to, which is my podcast. You can listen on YouTube or Spotify, Apple Podcasts. Luke's English podcast is the greatest. It's brilliant. So I highly recommend listening and watching that as well. But you get the idea. Passively listen on your own as much as you can. The second thing that I want you to do to listen effectively is to actively listen. And by this, I mean listening with the goal of learning, listening with the goal of improving. And you can do this by perhaps sitting down with a notepad and pen, or with your iPad or tablet or whatever it is, and listen with the goal of learning. So maybe you take a podcast. Maybe you listen to an audio recording. Maybe you watch a series. That's listening, isn't it? But you take notes. You try to pick out some new vocabulary. You try to understand and write down what they are talking about. You make note of pronunciation. You pause and repeat where necessary. So you have a dedicated time that you are listening in English to learn. So passively, we're just immersing ourselves in the English language whenever we can. But actively, it is a conscious effort to listen to learn. That's the goal. And later on in this video, I'll show you how you can include that within your study routine. That's step 2. I want you to listen effectively, passively and actively. Okay, the third way is a really important one that I think is sometimes forgotten. This is a great way to learn English on your own, and that is reading, but reading with purpose. Reading with a purpose. Reading is often overlooked these days, particularly as we advance in this technological world. Isn't it true that we are just fed screen time all the time, scrolling through TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, social media? That's fun, but it has its place. Let's replace some of that time with reading, whether that is reading in our heads or reading out loud. We can incorporate a few of these points together. Reading really is a lovely thing to do. Now, I'm a bit of a hypocrite here because I don't read anywhere near as much as I would like to. But it is lovely. It is a great thing to do because it introduces us to new vocabulary. It introduces us to new sentence structures, new grammar. And also, it introduces us to new ways that the English language is presented to us, because when we read, we generally read from different points of view, from different writers, from different authors. And of course, they all have their own way of using the English language. So reading is absolutely brilliant. But also, when we read, we visualize in our heads what we are reading about. For example, if we are reading a science fiction book, which is my favorite genre, I'm visualizing. I'm coming up with a picture in my mind. Now, if we are doing this in the language that we are learning, we're not only visualizing, but we're connecting words to that visual image that has been created in our minds. We're connecting sentence structures, idioms, expressions. And when we create that connection, we are much more likely to use those new words, those new expressions. Reading is brilliant. And we can do that in a nice and relaxed way. Now sit down with a cup of tea, get an English book, and just enjoy it. If you would like, have a little notepad next to you and write down the new words. Write down new expressions. Write down anything that you would like to examine or study in more detail. But reading presents us with a lot of information. So don't underestimate it, particularly